Hello everyone and welcome to this new tutorial on my channel, and in this video I'll be showing you how to make this little acorn guy, and I just think he looked so adorable with his little feet like this. I will try to explain the pattern in a beginner friendly manner. However, if you get any questions, please comment them down below. Also, if you like the video, don't forget to give the thumbs up, this would really help me a lot, and let's get started. You'll need 3 different shades of brown. Also, the yarn I'm using is a combination of 60% cotton with 40% acrylic. You'll need a crochet hook. I'm using a 3mm hook, scissors, a darning needle, some safety eyes, these are 5mm, a stitch marker, some black embroidery yarn, and some stuffing. Alright, so we're going to start off by making the bottom part of the acorn. So for that we're going to grab this color, and we're going to start off by making a magic circle. And if you're not entirely sure how to do this, I've got a separate video on my channel explaining how I'm always doing it, and I will link that down below in the description. Alright, so now for the first round we're going to start off by making 8 single crochet into the magic circle. So for that we're gonna go into the magic circle, grab the yarn, pull it through. Now you got 2 loops on your hook. Grab the yarn once again and pull through both loops. Like this, that's your first single crochet. Now we're going to make a total of 8. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. After that, we can close the magic circle. Like that. Now we can insert the stitch marker into the last stitch that we did. So that's the one right here. And that was it for the first round. Now for the second round, we're going to do an increase in all of the 8 stitches that we got around. So we'll be doing a total of 8 increases. And because of that, we're going to go up from a stitch count of 8 to a stitch count of 16. Alright, so let's first find our first stitch. If you're not sure which one it is, remember that you can always count backwards. So this is the last stitch that we did. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this one is 8. We got 8 stitches around, so this is the first stitch we should be going into. Alright, we're going to do increases. So go into this space right here and do a single crochet. Now to do an increase, we're going to go back into the same space and do another single crochet. Like that. That's our first increase right there. We're going to do this all the way around. And on the stitch marker, you should be putting in your last increase. Alright, I just did my last increase, so then I insert my stitch marker back into the last stitch that I did. Like that. And now the second round is finished. Now for the third round, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches. And then into the 4th stitch, we're going to do an increase. And we're going to do this a total of 4 times. And because of that, we're going to go up from a stitch count of 16 to a stitch count of 20. Also, you should be putting in your last increase into the stitch marker stitch right here. Alright, so let's do that. 1 single crochet into the first stitch, 1 into the second, 1 into the third, and do an increase into the 4th. Okay, do this 3 more times and I will meet you once we land on the stitch marker. Alright, so I just finished the round by doing my last increase. And now for round 4 till round 8, so for a total of 5 rounds, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in all of the stitches that we got around. So remember to move your stitch marker and the stitch count shouldn't change, it should remain 20. So let's do that and I will meet you once we're done with row 8. Alright, so I just finished round 8 and now to finish off our work here, we're going to do a slip stitch into the next stitch. So go in there, grab a loop and pull it through the loop on our hook, like that. Then we can cut off the yarn. It doesn't need to be a long end, just a little bit. Okay, pull it through. And now the bottom part is finished. Now let's insert the eyes and we're going to put the eyes right in between round 5 and round 6. So we're going to count from the bottom. This is the first round, the magic circle. This is 2, 3, 4 and round 5 and 6. And we're going to put it right in between here. Just choose a stitch, doesn't matter which one. And now to decide where the second eye should be, something I like to do is to count holes going from the first eye. So for example, here is our first eye. This is the first hole next to this eye right here. This is the second one and we're going to put it right into the third one right here. Okay. So you have to make sure that there are like 2 holes right in between the 2 eyes. Right, now we can attach the backs to the eyes. And now the eyes are attached. Now let's make the top part of the acorn. So for that we're going to grab the darkest brown color that we have. And once again we're going to start off by making a magic circle. Now into the magic circle we're going to do 10 single crochet. So go into the magic circle like that. That's our first single crochet. Now we're going to make a total of 10. Right, once you got 10, you can close the magic circle. Then we can insert our stitch marker into the last stitch that we did, right there. And then the first round is finished. Now for the second round, we're going to do an increase in all of the 10 stitches that we got around. So we'll be doing a total of 10 increases, and because of that we're going to go up from a stitch count of 10 to a stitch count of 20. Alright, so let's find our first stitch. Do a single crochet. Now we're going to go back into the same space and do another single crochet. Alright, do this all the way around and I will meet you once we land on the stitch marker. Alright, so I just did my last increase and now you should be having a total of 20 stitches around. Now let's insert our stitch marker again. Now the second round is finished. Now for the third round we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first 4 stitches, and into the 5th stitch we're going to do an increase. We're going to do this a total of 4 times, and because of that we're going to go up from a stitch count of 20 to a stitch count of 24. Alright, so do a single crochet into the first stitch, do a single crochet into the second stitch, single crochet into the third, and a single crochet into the fourth stitch. And now we're going to do an increase. All right, repeat this 3 more times and I will meet you at the end of round 3. All right, so I just did the last increase and now you should be having a stitch count of 24. All right, so now for round 4 and round 5, so for a total of 2 rounds, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in all of the 24 stitches that we got around. So the stitch count won't change and you will just do 24 single crochet for 2 rounds. Alright, so I just finished round 5 and now it should look something like this. Now to finish off our work, let's do a slip stitch into the next stitch. And we're going to cut off the yarn by leaving quite a long end because we're going to need this end for sewing it onto the bottom part of the acorn. So make sure you just got a long end like this and pull it through. Now let's make the little stem, which goes on top of the acorn. We're going to use the same color as we used for the top. And we're going to start off by making a slip knot. For that, keep the yarn in between your right middle finger and thumb, like this. Twist it around your index finger to create a loop. Now pull through the long yarn end, like that. And we can tighten it by pulling the short yarn end. That's our slip knot. Now we're going to chain 4. So yarn over, pull through, that's our first chain. 2, 3 and 4. Now for the stem, we're not going to work into the chains that we got right here. Instead, we're going to work in the loops which are on the back of our work. So right here, this one and this one. Okay, so not these right here, which you would usually do, but on the back of our work there are these little loops which we will be using. So we're going to start by going into the second chain from the hook. So not this one right here, but on the back of our work we're gonna go into this one right there. Okay, and we're going to do a slip stitch. Push it through and do a slip stitch. Now we're going to make 2 more slip stitches. So into the next space, the next loop on the back of our work. Oops. Insert your hook there and we're going to do a slip stitch. Now into the last space, we're going to do our last slip stitch. All right, so now it should look something like this. We're going to chain 1 and finish off our work, leave a little end to it and pull it through. Now let's attach the little stem onto the top of our work, this one right here. So for that, grab your darning needle and attach it to the yarn end from our stem, which is not this one right here, but the one on the outside of our work like that, because our work is going a bit like this. And we want to attach this one on the left side. All right, attach that one to your darning needle. And we're going to put this yarn end right through the middle of our work. So right into the middle of the magic circle. Okay, just push through your needle like that. Now we're going to attach the other end onto our darning needle. And we're gonna go into a space which is right in between the first round and the second round. It doesn't really matter which one, but just choose one. For example, this one right here. Okay, pull it through. Now into both of these yarn ends, we're going to make a double knot to secure them. So this one comes out right of the middle of our work. This one is the other yarn end, and we're just going to tie them together by crossing over, making a knot like this. Okay, pull it tightly. Now let's do it once again to make a double knot. Okay, right now we can cut off all of these yarn ends. Cut them short. And now the top part of our work is finished. Now let's complete the body parts by making the legs. So for that we're going to grab the lightest color of brown that we have. Okay, and we're going to start off by making a slip knot once again. Like that. Now for the legs, we're going to chain 6. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to start by crocheting into the second chain from our hook, and first we're just going to do 2 single crochet. So 1 into the second chain from the hook and 1 into the third chain from the hook. So do a single crochet in here and do a single crochet into the next chain. Now we still got 3 chains left, and for these we're going to do slip stitches on the back of our work, which we also did for the stem. So right here we got these little loops, 1, 2, 3, and into these we're going to do slip stitches. And by that we're creating the leg. So we just created the little foot, and now we're going to make the leg. So go into the first back loop and do a slip stitch. Go into the second, do a slip stitch, go into the third and do a slip stitch. Now we can cut off the yarn. Okay, leave a little end to it. Pull it through, and now this part can go a little bit upwards like this. All right, so that's our first little leg. Now let's make another one of these. All right, so once you got 2 of them, the legs are finished as well. Now let's start sewing all of the parts together. All right, first let's sew the top part onto the bottom part of our work. So attach this long yarn end on the top onto our darning needle. Okay, this part is a little complex because we're gonna sew the stitches from the top part. We're going to sew them right onto the stitches in between round 7 and 8. So we're going to be sewing it onto this row right here. Also, the top part has 4 stitches more than the bottom part. So 4 times we should be combining 2 stitches of the top part with 1 stitch on the bottom part. So this is a little complex, so let's just do all of this together. First, we're gonna go into the next stitch on the top part of our work so that the transition looks nicer. Like that. Then we're going to choose a part on our little body right here, which will be going into first. So it doesn't matter where. Something I like to do is to make this top part go onto the right part of our acorn. So I'm going to attach it like this. So for that, I'm gonna choose a stitch onto the right side of our little acorn, but you don't have to do this. All right, so here I'm going to choose a stitch which is in between round 7 and 8, and I'm just gonna go right in there. So for example, I'm gonna go in this stitch right here. All right, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna come out of the stitch right next to it. Like that. Okay. Now I'm gonna go into the next stitch on the top part. So that's the stitch right there. Okay. Like that. Now we're gonna go into the next stitch on our top part. We're gonna go into the next stitch on the bottom part. So that's this space right here. Here we just went into. This is the next space. We're gonna go in there and come out of the next stitch like that. All right. Now let's go into the next stitch on the top part. All right, go into the next stitch on the top part, and now let's combine 2 stitches of the top with 1 stitch of the bottom. So we're gonna go into the next stitch on the top part, but we're gonna go back into the same space which we already used on the bottom part. And by that we're combining 2 stitches of the top part with 1 stitch of the bottom. All right, so go in there and come out of the next space. So we're gonna have to do this a total of 4 times, but make sure that you do it like not all of them at the same time, but that you spread it out a little bit. So now we did one of those. Okay, now let's continue as usual. So go into the next space. And just connect the next 2. Just move 1 stitch to the side each time. All right, now I'm first going to put these yarn ends into my work. Make sure they are not in the way. Just like that. Okay. Now let's combine 2 stitches again. So go into the next space on the top part and go into the same space on the bottom part. So that's right there. Now we're gonna get this transition where we finished off our work. Make sure right here that you're not gonna continue sewing it onto this round right here, because then you're not going to end up right in between round 7 and 8 again. So we're gonna have to move 1 row up when we are at this part. Okay, so I'm almost at that part. I'm gonna go into the next space on the top. And now I'm gonna move 1 row downwards. So instead of going in right there, I'm gonna go in right there. Okay, come out of the next space. Also, at some point, the hole will start to get a little closer. So, for example, at this moment right here, let's start doing our stuffing. So grab some and just push it right in there. All right. We can still add a little bit more later if we want that. So I'm just gonna keep it like this for now. Okay, go to the next space. Sometimes I push the stuffing inwards with my darning needle to make sure that it's not in my way. And just continue as we did before. Now let's combine 2 stitches. So go into the same space, come out of the next one. All right, now the hole is getting really small, so I'm going to do my last stuffing right here. And now I'm going to use my scissors to push it in. All right, so now let's continue. All right, so now I'm at the end. I just got 1 stitch left on the top part. So I'm going to go in there and go into the same space as I just used, like that. All right, now to make it extra secure, I'm just going to go into the stitch once again, which is the first stitch that we attached actually, like that. Now I'm going to move a couple of stitches to the side. So for example, right there. And right here, I'm going to make a knot to secure it. So I'm just going to grab 1 string, 1 dark brown string from the top part. I'm going to create a loop, so don't pull it through entirely. Through the loop, I'm gonna go with my darning needle so that we create a loop by tightening it. Okay, now go into your work, close to the yarn end. Okay, push it through till it comes out of the opposite side of our work. Like that. And then we can cut off the yarn. And by that, the top is attached to the bottom. All right, so now let's sew on the little mouth. And for the mouth, we're going to sew it onto row 4. So as you can see, this is 1, 2, 3. And we're going to sew it right onto row 4. So attach your yarn to your darning needle, your black yarn. And we're gonna go in right at the top of row 4. So let's look which row it is. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're gonna go in right into a stitch at the top. So for example, this one right here. We're going to move a little to the side and we're gonna come out, for example, right there. Okay, pull it through. Now we're going to go back into the same space where we just went into, but we're not going to pull it through entirely. All right, go in here and come out of a stitch going to the bottom part of row 4. So for example, right here. Make sure that this space is in between these two right here. Okay, pull it till you create a little loop like this. Now go through the loop with your darning needle. Okay, pull the yarn end. And by doing that, you're creating a little mouth. Now let's go into the same space right here at the bottom of row 4. Come out of the same space where we went into the first time. So where this long yarn end is coming out of. Okay, and pull it through. Now we can tighten this little loop by pulling this yarn end, and we can still tighten the little mouth by pulling the other yarn end. Okay, now let's cut these two yarn ends a little shorter so that we can make a knot into it to secure it. Make sure you don't pull this too tightly, this is not necessary. Just pull it a little bit when you're making knots. Okay, so this is one, let's make another one. That's 2. Now let's cut them really short. And then we can push it into our work to hide the yarn ends. Okay, now you can still shape it a little bit by pulling it with your nails, for example. And by that, the little mouth is finished. All right, so now the only thing left to do is to sew the legs onto our body. So for that, I attach the middle parts of the legs right in between round 1 and 2. And I'm attaching the outer part of the legs right in between round 2 and 3. Okay, so grab your first leg. I'm first going to attach the middle part, and I first attach this leg right here. So then I'm grabbing this yarn end. And the middle parts of the legs, we're going to put that right in between round 1 and 2. So in between here and here. So one of these stitches. Now I'm going to choose a stitch which is close to the middle. So this is the front of her face. So somewhere here in the middle. And preferably a bit to the front, because I think that looks nicer. So this is the middle. This one is a little bit more close to the front of our face. So I'm gonna go right in there. And I'm gonna come out of a stitch which is not too far away from this space right here, but it doesn't really matter which one, just a random space. Like that. Then I'm going to attach the other yarn end of the leg onto my darning needle, and I'm going to attach that one to a stitch right in between round 2 and 3. So somewhere here. Now something I like to do is to just make my work look nice by going like this. All right, now the leg is straight, it's facing forward, so I'm going to keep it like that. I'm just going to see which stitch is closest to the yarn end, and I think that's the one right there. Okay, so I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to come out of the same space where the other yarn end is already coming out of. All right, so now the first leg is attached. I'm going to do the same thing for the other leg. All right, so now I've attached the second leg as well, and right now they are not tied together yet. So really make sure that you like the position, and if you do not like it, you can still change it at this moment. So make it sit up, for example, see whether it stays up, whether you like the way the legs look. I think it looks good now, so I'm going to tie these yarn ends together. So these are belonging to this leg right here. I'm going to make a double knot into them. pull it tightly and make a second knot. Okay, this one as well. Pull it, make a second knot. Okay, now we can just cut off these short yarn ends and hide the yarn ends into our work like that. All right. Now our little acorn guy is finished. I hope you like the way yours turned out. If you liked the video, don't forget to give the thumbs up. This would really help me a lot. And if you would like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe, and I hope I will see you in another video. So thank you for watching and see you.